Alright, just to confirm you guys can hear me. This is XCaliber, and this is the finale of the K-Bar Heavy Assault build for my build series. Just get a confirmation from anybody. Hey Highlander, how you doing? Oh, okay, great, you hear me. Alright, so I just went through like a 10-minute long spiel, and I guess some of you have already seen the before and after, but for those tuning in after the stream, uh, I wanted to give an update. So when the last episode ended, we had finished doing the shaping and some of the detail work, and you know was pretty happy with it. But I have a tendency in building to it's hard for me to stop, to be honest. So this format's a little bit of a struggle for me, admittedly, and especially when it's in regards to texturing. Texturing, I spent a long time texturing stuff. I go and I come back, and I'm constantly tweaking things, and it could take me the better of all night. So if I was to try to capture my texturing in a stream, it'd be a really long and boring stream. So instead, what I did was I I basically finished the texturing on the vessel, and I wanted to give you guys a before and after shot so that you have a refresher of what I've done so far, because I have changed a lot on the vessel itself as far as shaping as well. So I tweaked the back of it here. If you remember, it had this point coming out, and I kind of shaped it down a little bit, and then I added a lot of functionality in the back. So you have the drill turrets in the back now. And what I like about that versus my other models where I've had it on the left or right or whatever is two people can now mine the same node, which I think's pretty cool. So if you're working with somebody, you're able to just double up the efficiency of drilling. Now this is going to be a level 20 build, so this isn't a part of the early survival collection. This is not part of the drill pub collection. This is end game super tomahawk build. So I set out to make something more aggressive looking than this. While this has full combat steel as well, and it's got full frontal armor going all the way up the nose here. It's very armored as well, but I just wanted something that was super tough looking. So it's more of the K-bar style, and it also solves a lot of issues that I had with the skeletal. I love the skeletal. I love the look of it. Function-wise, it's really good as far as the bidirectional piloting, the multi-turreting, all that stuff. The problem is the livability of it wasn't great. Inside of it, I had issues with cargo. There's not enough cargo space. It's more of a harvesting vessel than anything, but it did have a lot of function for armor, and it just doesn't have the cargo space. That's the main issue. And for me to put a bunch of cargo in here, I'd have to too much for it to be practical. So yeah. So anyway, without further ado, so this is the non-textured version. It's just got the base coat on here, which is how I texture. I first apply a base coat, so you get the whoa, yeah. That's weird. That's not the base. Oh, I guess the color maybe. Okay, but anyway, so that, you get it like that, and then you put a base coat on it, and then I detail from there. So the end result being this. Now let me there we go. So yeah, you can see the difference here. I like, with all my tanks, I like to put this texture in the front to make it look tough, make it look like extra armored. And then I do the plating here on the sides, up around here, just to add some more some more strength to the look. And then you can see there's a lot of piping effects and stuff. You can see these little tiny sliver blocks. I use those to add some lighting with the lighting texture. That's just this texture right here. Oh, yeah, we don't want to do that. Yeah, so you can see it's just that. So when there's different shapes and stuff that you could play around with the lighting, and you get some really cool effects. Like you can see this right here. I always do this with all my vessels, and this is basically this one. So you can see this is squared off, but because it's a triangle, you get this really cool point that makes it look like like a blade, like teeth. So it's little things like that that you can do when you're messing around with texturing that can really add to it. I actually found a use for these spikes. I've never used those in a build, but I just thought that looked cool, so I added them down here as well. As far as the function, you've got headlights here. You've got a headlight in the center, which does go through the blade, so it's actually a good way to protect your headlight because that tends to get shot out really super easy in the beginning, so just gives you that little bit of armor and what's not. But yeah, so I also fixed the lag shot. There was an issue with the way I did the lag shot, so after talking to Spange and Big Boy, I was able to sort that out. So the trick of it is, and what exactly lag shot is, because I didn't explain it correctly in the last stream, is what happens in the game is sometimes it can shoot, and you know when you see blocks, right? Like right now we're looking at solid blocks, but we can see through them. So the game can actually register a shot going through a solid block, and it could hit anything. So if I get shot right here, there's a chance that that shot will go through all this armor, and it could hit anything up here. So what this does is it prevents that, and that you can see I can't see through this. So that's what you need to do. Just use the pyramids, and it just gives you that protection against lag shot. So even if this entire front end gets shot off all the way up to here, it's just solid combat steel right here. There's no thrusters going on, nothing. So, if this entire front gets completely, this is still a fully functioning vessel. And, just as armored as pretty much anything else I've made. So, and that was the intention from the beginning, was I needed something that was full frontal armor, that you didn't lose any function. So you don't lose any thruster function. All the thrusters are in the back. So I'll just go around here, and you guys could look at the texturing and stuff. I added the armor here. I added some piping work here. We did some more piping work up around here. You got all the thrusters and what's not here. And then so more of the lighting right here. This is more of the sliver blocks. So you see it from a distance, you don't notice it's a block, but it just gives you that extra lighting effect. The color contrast of the piping versus these pipes. Some of the detail work here. I use this a lot. This is this one right here. So it's this texture. When you put it on a half block, you get this effect, right? But when you do it on a solid block, it's that one. So now with the 45s, if you're gonna do that, the 45s have to be a certain way. So there's a way you turn it to where you get that side functional, and there's a way to where it's not functional. So sometimes you have to flip that around. We did some additional piping here in the back. We got the detector in, which I forgot the last stream. I put oxygen stations on the outside, just for function, so you can run up to it really quickly without having to go in the vessel. I did the windows. They don't serve a purpose except they look cool to me. I like the black, and it looks like it's you're supposed to be able to see through it. Same thing on this side. You got all the thrusters back here. You got rear protection back here. So this is it's meant for frontal assault, but these will obviously turn around. Those will turn around. and then the plasmas and everything. They'll all pretty much turn around for you, except you won't get a lot of function with the rockets up front, but you will get function with the plasma and the minigun turrets in the back. And then we're gonna go under here before I reveal inside. So I did a lot of detail work on the underneath. It's important. It's a hover vessel, and you don't see the underneath, but you wanna take the time to get as much detail into the vessel as you can. I mean, if you look at how it looks non-textured, I forgot to remove that. Let's see here. Place mode. There you go. So that's how it looks, and I mean, the shaping of it looks cool enough. So like Spans talks about, Piston talks about, texturing with blocks is important, so you can see the contrast in these flats and these curves, and so all that is texturing as well. But it's still very it's very bland. So I used to talk to Piston a lot, and he basically taught me that your texturing should tell a story. And I treat it that way. Some people don't texture that way. Some people look for it's like they're making a painting or something. I look at it as function. I look at texturing as a literal thing. So I like it to look literal. So for instance, these vents. I'd like to think that these vents are for venting these thrusters. And in this, so I have them here, and then I have some other vents here. I have some ventilation here for the rear of the thrusters. So that's my approach for texturing. Let's see, Hinar, could you please explain the stuff about thrusters that need to be opened outside? I follow this rule now, but I want to figure out where it comes from. Yeah, no problem. So I always leave a block space for the thrusters. So right here, this is a block space after the rear of the thruster, the exhaust. Empyrion has always talked about making it so that closed thrusters won't operate, they won't function. So this is going to be an issue, is if you're building stuff that has block thrusters like this. Now you can block this side. This is the non-functional side of the thruster, so that's fine. But this side, the exhaust, you have to keep those open. Because if you don't, and they implement that, then it's gonna be it's not gonna be functional anymore, and you're gonna have to figure that out. Now, they did say that you'll probably be able to use these shutters, and those can block it because they're not airtight. Now you got to make sure you go in here and you choose the non-airtight one. This one is airtight. This one isn't airtight. So you'll notice all my builds have the thrusters blocked with these because that's extra armor, but it's also it's capable of letting it go through it. So and I could be wrong. They could decide that they don't want anything in front of them, and I'll have to go and remove all that. But so be it. That's not a hard thing to remove these grates. So it's better than having something closed up and it being obsolete, and you have to do a full redesign. So when I heard that early on, I pretty much just built everything in that regard. And there's some builds I have way in the past that don't have that implemented. My Recluse chopper thing that I made a long time ago, that has some closed thrusters, and it's going to be obsolete, but that'll just be something I take off the workshop and maybe revisit someday. But all the builds that I've done thus far in the Blade collection, the early survival, the Blade Pub collection, all have exposed thrusters. It's a big PvP thing too. You want to protect your thrusters in PvP, but if they ever implement that, PvP is going to be a whole different ballgame. So yeah, so that's that. But basically, just it takes a long time to texture. It's not something you can do in an hour. It's not something you can do. You should really take the time. You should leave the build, and you should come back the next day, and just make all the little subtle stuff. It means a lot. Jay Randall's really good at this. The attention to his texturing, as well as it's just the difference in everything. And he does both. He textures with shapes. I've never seen anybody do things with shapes the way he does. He he uses flats versus rounds versus points, and he gives you a full contrast effect of something that actually looks completely built. So it's it's important, and it's really the difference between the build. So yeah, so let's start. Let me show you guys the function of everything because I did add some function to this. Um, so we will. So it opens up like that, and that's super annoying when it opens and closes all the time when you're in God mode. Now, also another thing to note when you're in hey Helenar. So when you're in God mode and you're messing with motion sensors, um, it can be a problem because it doesn't detect you properly and things will just open and close repeatedly. So make sure when you're dealing with God mode that you actually go into the build and you turn off your signals. Once you turn off your signals, then it'll register, but it won't actually serve the function. So I'm going to manually open these for effect here. So, when this opens up, you can walk up here. I'll actually get out of God mode. So you walk up and you've got immediate function of the medical station. You've got a medical box where you can store, some emergency meds. I've also got this is what I would call like the gun box. It's green, army green, I guess, for some extra guns, some ammo and stuff you have to replenish really quickly. Let's say you die, you can, well, if you die, you're gonna die in the clone chamber, or respawn. But anyway, so it's just additional ammo and stuff. You have your armor locker for a quick change of your suit, depending on what you're doing, and then O2 station again. Have some lighting effects here, which they mean a lot in the dark. I'll actually do that here so you guys get an idea of how important some of these texturing cues can be. So at night, turn the light off here. You see the function of that, right? It's like, I don't know, let's say, I don't know why you wouldn't have your light on, but if you didn't have your light on or whatever, you just have that added function that's going to lead you to where you need to go. So you can see the boxes. See the boxes here. Obviously, that's the medical station. So, yeah, it's important. These little lighting effects are important, and it looks cool. I mean, it just looks, So, see what these stripes do. These little lighting effects at night, they're really cool. They you can actually do some really cool stuff to where it looks totally different at night. You wouldn't even notice that in the regular. So. All right, so yeah, continue on here. Automatically, but this is double protection. This is also AI cannot shoot these shutter doors out. Supposedly, that's what I heard. So I'm rolling with it. So that's cool. I mean, they're not going to be able to shoot into your vessel, whereas a door they'd be able to. All right, so we walk into here. Immediately, we've got the armor locker. We've got the 2 drop boxes from the outside, so that you can collect what you had deposited in there previously. We have a harvest box on each side. You've got a redundancy here of the medical, fuel and oxygen, and guns and ammo. We got some oxygen effects here to where it looks like it's being piped through the wall. And this is more of that literal texturing. I always put my pipe ports this different texture so that it looks like it's an actual port going through the wall, and that it's not just going through the wall on its own. There is a light in. There's lights in here, but because I turned off the signal, let's turn the signal back on here. There we go. So when you come in, you've got this dim light, yellow effect light, and then you come in here and you've got Got two lights. So what I'll do is I'll turn off the signal again and it'll remain closed. There we go. So yeah, so you got the lights, you got storage, and even the little subtle things of like painting the boxes something different. Yeah, so the lights don't turn on. Well, the outside orange light turns on when you aggro the motion sensor on the outside to open the ramp. So as soon as the ramp opens, your light's on. Um, but when you come inside, the lights turn on and off based on you being inside. So they won't remain on when you leave, thus saving some power. But yeah. Um, so you got the three fridges, you got the two constructors, one for biofuel if you're doing that, one for the regular construction and stuff. Yeah, Neil. So I think there's some people. There's actually a full Star Wars server where they do a full RP of Star Wars, and I'm sure there's other people that do roleplay. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that. I don't game with role players, so unfortunately, I don't really get to do that. But it would be cool, definitely. You can put. So this is another example of using these shutters. You can use them when they're transparent. So this is still an oxygenated room, even though that's in front of it because it's not airtight. So as long as it's not airtight, you can put something in front of the ventilator. But if I was to put a block there, then we'd be screwed. But you can see I added these flat blocks here with the lighting just to add some more detail. Like I did this thing with the half block, kind of. I've been doing this lately on my builds. Just I don't know, it's kind of a cool looking thing. I don't know. You got the clone chamber here, med station over here. You've got the ammo boxes. So now we come up here to the drone hatch. So pretty self-explanatory. Gives you the arrows, and I gotta turn signals on again. So it's actually two doors. There's a door on both sides. And I could add a third door, but I like the spacing. It adds to the contrast inside. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to walk up to this X, see drone deployment, stand on X, press F5 to open hatch. And then boom, you deploy your drone. And this is great for so many different things, you know. Let's say you're working in here and you hear some critter outside. You don't have to expose yourself first. You can first do a recon and see, what's going on here. You hear troops nearby. You can look out and get a full view. If you want to mine ore while you're protected inside your vessel, you can do that. You can do some mining. You can retrieve a bag. Let's say you died and you drive back to where you died, you can do that. There's so many options with this. Just just recon basically, just looking around and seeing what while you're protected in the vessel. AFK if you want to be watching one of your friends playing or whatever, and you're just messing around. You don't have to expose yourself to possibly getting killed. So. Great function, and I'm seeing it in a lot of builds. Jay Randall's recent tank has the same thing. Super Killen's MRE has the same thing. So I think it's a really cool function. So yeah, so I did the I did the texturing to look like laptops, kind of like consoles. So you got that, you got the keyboards. Go back into God mode so that we can go into here. So this is the cockpit itself. Got a lot going on here. I totally stole that from Jay Randall with his permission. I just thought that was cool. But yeah, so you can see the type of armor that the cockpit has. Now, of course, this is the first build I've done where I don't have a first-person view, which it messes me up because I personally like to drive in first-person view a lot. Yeah, once you press F5 again, the drone will automatically go away. Basically, it's not. Yeah. But yeah, so you could look at the armor, right? So you got solid blocks here. Now, where I couldn't do lag shot, I couldn't. So, because I didn't want it to look weird on the inside here, so I kept it solid. But yeah, if you look here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because these are blocks, and you have your harvesters. So that's 7 solid combat steel blocks of armor all the way to the cockpit. You know, and these are 400 hit points each, right? So that's 2,800 hit points, roughly 3,000 hit points to get to the cockpit. That's a lot of armor. I feel pretty safe with that. So, I'm not saying you want to park in front of a bunch of ion cannons, but any kind of rapid assault or heavy assault on a POI, you're going to be pretty safe in here. And like I said, even if it takes off all the pretty stuff, you're fully functional. You're still deadly. You still got, you know, plenty of artillery on the sides. You've got your rear artillery for your exfil. You've got you know, you got a lot going on here. You're gonna be okay. You got, even if you lose all these thrusters up here, you still got all these in the back. So there's a lot of redundancy. There's a lot of RCS redundancy. Yeah, so I made sure that this served a full function of being a heavy assault vessel while still being fully functional to live in. And I feel like you could live in here. I spent my single player game living in the original K-Bar, and I was able to take POIs, so this is just going to be even more so. Hey, Myrmidon. Yeah, so the pyramids were, it's lag shot protection. As I was explaining before, if you God mode through your vessel, you can see through solid blocks. So right now we're looking at this space, but it's actually solid block. Now when the game shoots, it could actually lag and register through these blocks, and it could hit anything. So even though you get shot in the front, it could go through all this and accidentally hit the clone chamber, or it could hit a thruster or fuel tank or whatever. So you use these pyramids. As you can see, you can't see through them. So you use these to block those lag shots. It's a I wouldn't say it's a glitch in the game, but it's a product of, you know, just the game itself. I mean, it's lagging. It's you know, it shoots, and maybe because of your latency or because of, you know, a bunch of other things, it's not going to register that shot the way the game's intended to. And so this is just you protecting from being screwed by that. Usually I don't promote any kind of glitch exploitation, or, you know, and that's what I originally thought this was. But, you know, after listening to Spange, talking to him about it, it makes perfect sense. And, you know, talking to Big Boy about it and everything, and it's, yeah, I mean, you're protecting yourself from a, not even an issue with the game, but an issue with internet multiplayer. Latency is latency, so it's just a, you know, it's just a product of it, and that's what you do to protect yourself. So they use it a lot in PvP as well. It's you know, Spange does it in all his builds. You look at even Piston original Diablo tank series, all his stuff was lag shotted, and yeah, so it just took clarification for me to understand what that was, because I actually thought he was trying to save on weight, but then I realized pyramids are the same weight as a solid block, so, you know, I didn't understand it at first, so it just took asking around and figuring it out. Which is, it's cool that you can constantly be learning new things about building, and there's plenty of stuff that I don't know about. There's stuff Jay Randall does that I don't get sometimes, and then I look at it, and, you know, he explains it to me, and I get it, and, you know, so just came fresh. So yeah, I mean, that's more or less the function of the vessel. Like I said, I mean, it's built for heavy assault. It's built to take out POIs, but it's also built to harvest. You've got spaces for the multi-turrets on the back. You've got the 2 drill turrets that come with it, and that allows 2 people to drill the same node because they're in the rear. You know, so it just, I personally, when I play, I don't use auto miners. I'm heavily against auto miners. I think that they lessen the game. They lessen a big part of the game, which is gathering. And I feel like the vessel. I feel like you should design something that can solve that problem instead of letting the game solve that problem. Once you set an auto miner down, the only thing you have to do is retrieve it. That aspect of the game is completely lost now, and I think that's a big problem. I think that well, I can tell you an experience I had in my multiplayer server. Me and two other guys, we went to the lava planet. It was named something random, but basically it's Atis, and we basically we had four guys. We hovered a guy at the top, and we dropped in on the drill pup mutt, and it actually carries three people. So we had one guy in the harvest side, I was in the drill side, and then we had another guy in the passenger seat. And we needed zirconium, we needed estrium, so we drove around and we just mined. We mined as many nodes as we could, and our CV was landed near where we started. And we're driving around, we're all happy, we're getting all these nodes, and then we see the patrol vessel coming. And it was going for our CV. It wasn't going for us. So we were freaking out. We're like, crap, we got to get out of here, our CV. So, because the CV had like no protection. It was very early game for us. We just barely had like I think we were using the Tarawa, and it just had like a machine gun turret, and that was it. So we're hauling ass back to the CV, and the patrol vessel shooting us as we're going because we're parallel with it and we're heading towards the CV. And we literally jumped in the Tarawa, we docked, we jumped in the passenger seats, and we took off back into space as the thing was shooting us. It was. I wish I had it recorded because it was like a movie. It was crazy, but you know, that's exciting. That's part of the game, and having to it's all about risk management. It's about should I take this node or should I leave it? Threat assessment, all these things come into play when you're playing like that. If you have an auto miner, there's no threat assessment. You go and you collect the miner. That's it. And then it becomes a chore. It's like, let me go around the galaxy and collect all my auto miners. Because I did that when I started, and I don't know, it was just lost on me. So I mine all my stuff, and so that's why I have that function on all my vessels. I like the drill turrets. Drill piss me off, to be honest. I mean, love the mutt. The drill pup elite, I feel like they're pretty good, but it's I don't know. It's an issue with the voxel. I mean, it's voxel terrain and stuff, and it's always going to be an issue when you're drilling. So I prefer the drill turrets once you get to them. So yeah, I mean, the end of a rant, but that's basically it. Now I do want to possibly take you into um, let's see this thing in action. Let's go take a POI out. So to do that, I would need to start a new game. Yeah, so let's do that. So we're gonna exit out of here. It's gonna resume. We'll actually go into my Iron Man practice here. Yeah, so that's another thing. I'm preparing for the next season of Iron Man. I'm gonna be doing the competition and whatnot. So I'll have those videos weekly as well once I roll that out, and that'll start at the end of the month. So August 1st is it's a mid season, and it's like a hard mode season. So I'm going in this thing in hard mode. Like it's not the normal Iron Man. It's like the super cut. Yeah, it's gonna be rough, but I think it'll be fun. I'll probably die in the first couple weeks. That's fine. I tend to be a little riskier in my gameplay. Now, in a situation like that, I probably oh crap. I think that was probably a rage quit. Yeah, that was definitely a rage quit. Uh, all right, so because this is survival, I'm gonna take us to a daylight area. All right. Yeah. So let's spawn it. Alright, so we're gonna, let's get some. So we're gonna get some fuel, we're gonna get some O2. Oh god, everything's different now. Fusion cells, that looks cool. Alright, this is really gonna mess me up because I remember all these icons and now they're different. So all the HV ammo. Oh god, they're always doing this, man. They've done this a bunch. I mean, they're cool. They look cool to me, but still. Okay, PL charge HV. Artillery shell. 135. And then, yeah, I'll show you the stats here. Hold on, 1 sec. And 15 millimeter. Alright, so stats. K-bar heavy assault. Take it easy there, guy. Hold on, let me turn these off. Alright, so unlock level 20, size class 2. 6 generators. So and there's a little bit of redundancy there. If you lose the first 2 generators in the front, you still got 4 to get you around. That's why I left them. You got 21 fuel tanks. We've got and see that's the other that's something else I wanted to explain is in multiplayer play in hover vessels. There's I like to live out of my hover vessels, and when I leave the server, as long as somebody's still in that world, on that planet, then that play field is still in effect, and my fuel is still running. So I like to build all my vessels to be able to handle at least 24 hours of standby time. And you can see right now, this thing is built at 41 hours, and that's with everything off. I also do a lot of custom stuff, so I set it to, these are the constructors. So once we turn that on, you see how much the constructors do, right? That's almost 10 hours of difference in fuel time. So that's gone down to 33 hours. Once your engines are on, your thrusters are on, you're going down to 33. But that's still good. That's 33 hours of, still having the thrusters and engines and all. And I did combine the engines and the RCS this time, because there was never a case where I wanted the RCS on and the engines off. So I just kept those things together. And then the big thing that people overlook is the harvest stuff. Those drill turrets are a lot of power. So if I turn that on, look at that. That's more than twice the power is just those drill turrets, those 2 drill turrets. So make sure that you have those things in the off when you're not using them. And then I have my headlights. I did add drill lights in the back. So let's see here. Drill lights. So you can see you got plenty of lighting when you're drilling at night. And then what I do with this is also something else I can explain while we're here is my access. So in all my builds, I have side access, rear access, depending on where it is, and it's basically an override for the pilot to open while you're in the pilot seat. So it overrides the motion sensor, and it allows you to quickly pick somebody up in a situation. Or I use them in my CVs for when you come out of warp. Sometimes you notice your hangar door opens for no reason. This allows you to open and close it. But it's just meant as a toggle. It's not meant to remain open that way, because then you'll have issues with the motion sensors. So just use it to toggle open and close. And yeah. Alright, so let's, we're fully loaded up here. Let's see how bad I am at taking a POI. So we're going to turn on thrusters, we're going to turn on engines. And small wreckage, small wreckage, small wreckage. Alien tower. It looks like we're in the beginning area. Yeah. Crash Titan. Ah. Let's just go straight to hard mode. Alright, I could do that. Alright, I don't care. Alright, so northeast. Yeah. Yeah. See, just that instant gathering. You can see this thing is full combat steel. This thing's heavy as hell, but you can still easily negotiate over everything. Piloting a hover vessel takes some knowledge too. You always want to land flat. You don't want to land at a point because then you will stall. So you always want to land flat wherever you're going, and then you won't get a it won't change your speed or anything. Yeah, good point, Mermaid. Let me do that. You also want to use the O key, auto rotate key, to balance yourself out when you're flying with a hover vessel. Oh wow, why did I? It's going the wrong way. Yeah, thanks, Neil. I love how these little trees stop a freaking 250-pound tank, ton, not pound. Yeah, that's one thing I miss about 8.0, or about 7 rather, is the snow. I feel like they really screwed the look of the snow up. Like I loved doing the pictures in the snow because it was like solid blankets of white. Now it's like it just looks dirty. I get it, like it looks more realistic, but it's just dirty. Like you should have some spots that are, like newly fallen snow, and then I get some would be like really low snow or whatever, but still. I really wish they had a like a small map, like in the corner or something. Well, like they do up there, but I wish it was a map. I wish it wasn't just a compass with waypoints. I guess I could set a waypoint, but whatever. Yeah, so I'm not going to be super conservative here. I want to see how this thing handles a POI stupidly. Ooh, there's a lot of ion. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Hold on, hold on. Maybe turn the turrets on. What do you think? Maybe that's the thing. I could be wrong. I feel like that's important, maybe. Wow. Yeah, look at that. Wow. Okay, so I just went through all that, like all those ion shots, and they obviously they took out all the harvesters. Let me back up here. All right. Yeah. So, as you can see, I mean, obviously it's going to take all the harvesters out. So those are gone, right? It went through here, took all my Gatling guns out. But look at that. I mean, we still have solid frontal here. And I didn't have the turrets on for like the first freaking minute of that. I don't know why I didn't notice that I wasn't shooting, but I was more interested in the terrain and negotiating it and stuff. But yeah, look at that. I mean, I still, it's obviously it's going for the gun. It tends to go for the guns more than anything, right? So I did lose the plasmas in the front. I lost the rockets, but I still had these. I still have these up here. This was well protected, so it didn't seem like they really went for that. But look at that. I mean, he's the freaking headlights, always the headlights, right? But yeah, I mean and HVs are be dumb, like you're saying. They go for they go the turrets go for random stuff. And yeah, I know you're right. I didn't set it to predator and prey, so that's another thing. I didn't go in, and this is kind of I like the way that it happened because I didn't go in super prepped, and not everybody knows the game that well. Not everybody knows that you have to set these things. So somebody that's new to the game can take this thing and look, they could still do some damage. So I love that now you can set them all with just one thing. So yeah, I mean this held up really well. They started to take the glass here. Um, Continue. I want to see how long this thing can hold up before I get shot out. But no function other than the gun loss. Let's turn on these turrets. Like, shoot the turret! Shoot the turret! Oh God, you're an idiot! Shoot the turret! Yeah, I mean it's doing ground assault before it's doing anything. It's so stupid. Yeah, it looks like I killed the power though on the base. That's all she wrote. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, like, and this, it's beat up. It's beat up to shit. Don't try to rebuild this by hand. That's where the new repair system comes in, and you can repair the template, and all this will be repaired in your repair station. And yeah, we lost the frontal weapons, but we didn't lose anything else. I mean, the back is still fully intact. Everything in here is fully intact. You're fully intact. Um, I can still, if I had multi turrets on the back, they'd probably survive. If not, you should always have spares of everything in your vessel anyway. That's how I roll. I have a, I have enough to repair anything in my hover vessels. I have all the weapons duplicated in a box, engines, RCS. You want to have all that stuff on your person. Cores, obviously, the drill turrets. So that way, I could plop a multi turret up here, and I could salvage all of this on the spot. I could salvage it all. I could make myself food. I could do whatever I need to do. I could totally still work out of this thing. And as we know, this is pretty much the hardest it gets. This is the major POIs here. So this thing just took them all out by itself in a really poor manner. Like, I didn't use any tactics. I didn't, I just went stupid into it, and it still came out winning. So I'm really happy with this. Um, yeah, this is awesome. This whole place is pretty much clear. I'm sure there's some ground troops over there or whatever, but this will handle it. Park it, and then just multi-turret your way to. There's a lot of safety in right here. So that was a success. So yeah, this will be on the workshop today. Um, I'll just do my last little once over of it. I mean, I think we did a full once over. I think it's pretty much the same thing I missed. It's fully oxygenated. It's got ammo boxes. There's no function loss to it. So um, but yeah, look for this on my shop. Grab. It's a formidable tank, to say the least. So yeah, I think next build I'm gonna either